Most people think they're manifesting a thing, a car, a partner, a job, a breakthrough. But what if the universe doesn't speak in cars or jobs or breakthroughs? What if manifestation is not about attracting objects, but aligning with feelings? Imagine this: every time someone says they want a relationship, they're not craving the logistics of 2 toothbrushes in one bathroom or shared Netflix passwords. They're longing for a feeling: love, connection, safety. When someone visualizes money in a bank account, they're not really after digital numbers on a screen. They're seeking the feeling of abundance, freedom, peace of mind. And here's where most people unintentionally disconnect from their power. They chase the thing that represents the feeling instead of embodying the feeling directly. That's like being thirsty and chasing a mirage instead of realizing you had water in your own bag all along. The object becomes a symbol, not the source. And symbols can be deceiving when we don't know how to read them. You see, manifestation is about alignment, not with the physical thing, but with the emotional blueprint that thing represents in your mind. If you think money will make you feel free, then freedom is what you truly desire. And guess what? Freedom is a state you can learn to live in today, before any money shows up. When you operate from the frequency of freedom, you become a magnet for everything that matches it, including money, yes, but also ease, clarity, and options. So ask yourself, what am I really chasing? Not the surface desire, but the emotional essence beneath it. Get honest with yourself. Maybe it's significance, safety, validation, play, or power. There's no wrong answer, only clarity. And clarity unlocks the path. Because once you know the real feeling you've been searching for, you stop running in circles. You start shifting within. That's when real manifestation begins. From the inside out. Quiet, subtle, inevitable. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The frustration of doing all the right things and still not seeing change. You've probably repeated affirmations with discipline. You've visualized with emotion. You've followed every manifestation teacher, journaled your desires, tracked signs, and waited patiently for your reality to shift. And yet, here you are, still feeling stuck. Why? Because manifestation doesn't respond to repetition. It responds to embodiment. That means becoming the version of you who already feels like it's done. Most people speak their affirmations like desperate wishes, hoping the words will convince the universe. But the universe doesn't respond to hope. It responds to conviction. It listens to your inner state, not your outer performance. You can affirm "I am wealthy" 10,000 times, but if your body still tenses when you open your bank app, if you still fear bills, if you still carry guilt around spending, your true state is not wealth. It's lack. And you'll keep manifesting more lack wrapped in different disguises. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're still rooted in the old identity. Here's the truth that sets people free. The universe is not testing you. It's not punishing you. It's not ignoring you. It's just mirroring you. With love. Always. If your reality hasn't changed, it's because your identity hasn't shifted. You're still trying to change the outside without updating the inside. And it doesn't work that way. Real change happens when you no longer need the thing to feel whole. When you stop using your current reality as evidence and instead move from inner knowing. It's when you stop checking for signs and become the sign. Stop watching the clock and start embodying the timeline where it's already yours. That's not delusion. That's divine alignment. And from that state, manifestation is not something you do. It's something you are. Here's the paradox that keeps so many people stuck. The more you focus on the thing, the relationship, the message, the amount of money, the more resistance you create. Why? Because obsession with the thing reinforces the subconscious belief that you don't have it, that you're separate from it, that you're not enough without it. And this creates a frequency of lack, not fulfillment. When you believe that something external will finally give you peace, you've unknowingly put your happiness on hold. You've made your inner state conditional. And when your state is conditional, you're no longer free. You're trapped in a waiting game. A game the universe doesn't play. Because the universe doesn't respond to need. It responds to wholeness. Let's say you want a message from a specific person. You visualize it. You affirm it. You feel good. For a while. But then you check your phone. No message. Your mood drops. That emotional dip reveals the truth. You were using the desire to temporarily escape your current state. Not embodying the end, but begging it to come. And begging never brings miracles, but neutrality does. When you shift into a state where the thing you want is no longer the source of your joy, when you can love your life with or without it, that's when the thing often shows up. Not as a reward, but as a reflection. Because you're no longer pulling from lack. You're radiating from fullness. That's the magnetic state. That's the zone where the universe bends. So if you're obsessed with the thing, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what do I believe it will give me? And how can I start feeling that now, before anything changes? The moment you stop chasing the feeling through outcomes and start sourcing it from within, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, so does your world. If you've ever truly studied Neville Goddard, not just quoted him, you'll realize his entire teaching wasn't about manifesting things. It was about living in the state of the wish fulfilled. That's it. Everything else, the vision boards, the techniques, the scripting, is just scaffolding. Temporary structures designed to help you move into a deeper truth. You're not here to get something. You're here to become someone. Neville wasn't teaching people how to manipulate reality. He was teaching people how to wake up to the truth that reality is a mirror of your inner state. And a mirror doesn't respond to effort. It reflects identity. You don't change the mirror by begging it to smile. You change it by changing your own expression. The moment you step into the version of yourself who already has it, already is it, already knows it's done, reality follows, but not before. People often ask, what technique should I use? But the real question is, what state am I living in right now? Because if your state is rooted in trying, fixing, and searching, you're manifesting more situations that keep you trying, fixing, and searching. That's why the cycle never ends. You're not stuck. You're just stabilizing in the wrong state. And the most powerful shift happens not when you do more, but when you become still. Still enough to observe the voice in your head that says, I'll be happy when, and gently interrupt it. Still enough to remember that you don't need permission to feel worthy, loved, secure now. Neville's true message was that your imagination is the only reality, and imagination is not about fantasy. It's about embodiment. If you imagine yourself in lack, you will continue to see lack. If you dwell in abundance, truly dwell, you won't have to force anything. The world will catch up to your state, slowly, subtly, and then suddenly. That's the art. That's the real manifestation. Not things, but states. Because states create things, not the other way around. There's a moment on the journey that feels like quicksand. The harder you try, the deeper you sink. You affirm more, visualize harder, double down on your techniques. And yet, reality stays the same. It's in this space that most people give up, or worse, blame themselves. But the truth is simple. The 3D doesn't shift when you chase it. It shifts when you stop needing it. Think about it. If you're trying to force the 3D to change, aren't you admitting, vibrationally, that you believe it's more powerful than you? That it gets the final say? But what if the 3D world is just an echo? A delayed reflection of your past state? That would mean the more you react to it, the more you recreate it. The more you fight it, the more you feed it. Neville said, do not condition your prayer by your current reality. But that's what most people do. They affirm wealth, but feel broke. They visualize love, but feel lonely. And they don't realize, it's not the words that manifest. It's the dominant feeling state you dwell in most. You can't fake your frequency. You can't outsmart your own energy. The reason things seem stuck isn't because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're still emotionally dependent on outer validation. And when your emotions rise and fall based on what's happening outside, your power is leaking. Your state is reactive, not creative. And you're manifesting from fear, not fulfillment. The real work is learning how to hold the state, even when the 3D says nothing is happening. To anchor in the unseen. To smile before there's a reason. To walk like it's done, talk like it's done, breathe like it's done. And not from delusion, but from deep, quiet knowing. That's when the 3D finally bends. Not because you forced it, but because you no longer needed it to prove anything. Here's the part most people skip, the identity underneath it all. You can change your affirmations, change your desires, change your vision board. But if you don't change the you that's holding them, nothing really changes. You can't out-manifest your self-concept. Because you don't get what you want, you get what you are. If you still see yourself as someone who's unworthy of love, you'll manifest partners who mirror that belief, no matter how many SP affirmations you say. If you still believe you're not safe without money, you'll attract situations that trigger fear, even if the money comes. This is why the same themes repeat, the same emotions loop, the same patterns return. It's not a curse, it's a mirror. Your self-concept is the energetic foundation of your entire life. It determines what you expect, what you tolerate, what you notice, and what you allow. And most of it was formed in childhood, through experiences that taught you who you needed to be to feel safe or loved. But what kept you safe then, is now keeping you small. Changing your self-concept isn't about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you were before you believed you weren't enough. It's about choosing to see yourself differently, and backing that choice with action, thought, and emotion until the old identity crumbles. It's not easy, but it's worth everything. Because once your identity shifts, your manifestations follow without force. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop chasing validation. You stop fighting reality. And you start attracting from authenticity, from wholeness, from truth. And that's when life stops being a struggle and starts becoming a mirror of your worth. Here's the part nobody tells you. When you actually give yourself the feeling now, the desire often dissolves. Not because it didn't matter, but because it was never the thing you truly wanted. It was a symbol, a shortcut. A mirror for an emotional state you didn't think you had permission to feel yet. When you sit with that truth, it's humbling. Think of all the things you've chased. The love that didn't love you back. The job that promised freedom but felt like a cage. The house that looked perfect on Instagram but felt empty inside. What if none of them were ever the destination? What if they were just messengers, pointing you back inward, to the feeling you thought they'd deliver? So what happens when you stop waiting for the outside to change? When you stop waiting to be chosen, seen, celebrated, validated? Something subtle, but life-changing. You start giving those feelings to yourself. You start feeling loved before the partner shows up. You start feeling abundant before the money lands. You start feeling proud before the world claps. And that changes everything. Because now, you're no longer manifesting from lack. You're not trying to escape who you are. You're creating from overflow, from alignment, from peace. And ironically, that's when the thing shows up. Not as a reward, but as a reflection. A natural consequence of the state you've chosen to live in. And when it arrives, sometimes you don't even care anymore. Not because you're indifferent, but because you've become the person you thought the thing would make you. And that person doesn't need the thing. They enjoy it. They appreciate it. But they don't depend on it. And that's what real power feels like. Quiet, rooted, whole. So ask yourself, if you already had the feeling now, would you still want the thing? Would it still hold power over you? Or would you finally be free? This is where the path forks. Most people will keep chasing outcomes, trying to control the world, hoping that if they get everything lined up perfectly on the outside, they'll finally feel okay on the inside. But that's a trap, a loop, a game that never ends. Because the real journey isn't about control, it's about emotional mastery. To manifest is to master your emotional state, not by suppressing it, not by faking it, but by choosing, consciously, deliberately, the feelings you want to live in. And becoming the version of yourself who holds that frequency, no matter what the 3D says. That's the work. That's the magic. Every desire you have is an emotional breadcrumb, a clue pointing to a feeling you're meant to reclaim. Want a successful business? Maybe you're really craving freedom, purpose, or self-trust. Want a loving partner? Maybe you're craving connection, safety, or play. Want money? Maybe you're craving stability, power, or permission to relax. The thing is just the wrapper. The emotion is the gift. When you learn to give yourself the gift directly, you become limitless. Because you're no longer waiting. You're not dependent. You're not outsourcing your worth, your peace, your power. You carry it with you. And that's when life starts working for you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. And the truth is, this power has always been in you. Not in your affirmations, not in your techniques, but in your ability to feel, fully, consciously, and without conditions. To choose the emotion, hold the state, and trust the unfolding. So maybe the next level of your journey isn't about manifesting more stuff. Maybe it's about feeling more of you, owning your emotional world, honoring your inner landscape, becoming the master of your state, and letting the world catch up. Because here's the wildest truth of all. Once you master the feeling, you no longer need the thing. But that's exactly when the thing tends to show up. What feeling have you been chasing in your manifestations? Drop a comment below and let's talk about how you can start embodying that feeling right now instead of waiting for the thing to show up. I will meet you with another golden nugget. Happy manifesting.